Hey, what's up, God's people and fellow ambassadors? I want to welcome you back to the Ambassadors channel. We're here. It's all about motivating you, the people of God, to be true disciples of Jesus Christ. If this is your first time tuning in, I want to say thank you very much for doing so. Do me a favor and watch this video all the way to the end, and don't forget to hit the like, the share, and the subscribe button, as well as leave me something in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this. I really look forward to reading the comments. I enjoy reading the comments. Not only that, it's motivation for me to continue sharing the gospel truth. So today I want to talk about temptation. You know, temptation is a very broad topic, so I'm going to narrow it down very narrowly and talk about the way the Bible really intended for us to see temptation, as opposed to the way most of us see it today. When it comes to temptation, none of us are really exempt from temptation. It's not something that we grow out of. You know, as long as you're in this body, we are in this body, temptation will forever be a part of our life. No matter how spiritual you become, temptation will forever be a present thing in our life. Notice I'm saying that it's there. I'm not saying that it's dominating or having control over you. And what I'm saying is that temptation will always be there, because none of us are exempt or can be exempt from temptation, because we're in this body called the flesh. We're in this fallen nature of the flesh, to where it like to pleases itself. The flesh pleases itself. And so as long as we're in this body, it will always crave for things of the flesh. The flesh will never crave for anything of the spirit. It will never do that. And so temptation itself is not a sin, but it is an open doorway that can lead to sinful acts and sinful behaviors that can become sin. I firmly believe that as Christians, as disciples, as believers, ambassadors, that we now experience temptation more frequently than we did before, because we have decided to separate ourselves from the world and the things of the world. And as a result, we experience temptation more frequently and most likely on a whole other level. Let's take a look at James chapter 1, verse 14 and 15, where it says, "Every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed." And when we take a look at this scripture and other scripture that parallel this one and really study it, we can see that the Bible really intended for us to see temptation as an indicator. We see temptation as a struggle, but the Bible intended for us to see temptation as an indicator and not just something that we struggle to overcome. Because when I perceive it as such, when I perceive temptation as a struggle, I'm more likely to compromise my way into the temptation, especially when I'm focusing on the temptation by giving it too much attention. I'm keeping a mental picture and continue to think about the temptation and keep it in front of me. I'm setting myself up to give into the temptation. But when I can see the temptation as an indicator, what is it indicating? Well, number one, let's go back to the scripture where it says, "Every man is tempted when he's drawn away of his own lust and is enticed." It is an indication of spiritual growth. It's an indication that I'm moving in the right direction. It is an indication that I'm growing spiritually. Not that I'm being tempted because I'm struggling with this. It's not saying I'm struggling with temptation. It's saying that temptation is here because I've separated myself from something, and I'm now experiencing the struggle that takes place between what I've separated myself from and where I'm trying to go. And so there's a struggle between those. There's a struggle between those two that's taking place. But don't get the struggle confused with what the temptation is really trying to let you know. We're really trying to let us know, and that it is an indicator that we're heading in the right direction. It's an indicator that I'm growing spiritually. James chapter 1, verse 2 to 3 says, "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into divers temptation, knowing that the testing of your faith worketh patience." What is James saying right there? What is he saying right there? He's saying that temptation is also an indicator that I'm being tested. So whenever I'm going through a temptation, it also means that I'm being tested. So you can equate that to understand that temptation is an indicator that I'm being tested. The devil might be tempting me right now with my weakness, because he knows your weakness. He knows what you like, what you dislike, and he's not going to tempt you with what you don't like. He's going to tempt you with the things that you like. So he's going to tempt you through your weaknesses. But through that temptation, God is also using that temptation to test your faithfulness. So temptation is an indication that I'm also being tested. And when we understand that, it's an indication that of spiritual growth, of maturity, of opportunity for me to even grow further, that I'm heading in the right direction and I'm being tested by God. It encourages us. I know it encourages me and motivate me to overcome that temptation, because I want to continue to grow spiritually and I want to continue to have the victory. See, temptation does not have the victory over you. It's trying to pull you back into the things that you came out of, because you already have the victory over it. Now, that's the positive side of the indication of what temptation is indicated. Temptation is also an indicator on the negative side. Temptation could also be an indicator that I'm backsliding. You know, in the church community, we say backsliding, that I'm not growing spiritually, and as a result of that, I'm being tempted to go back into the things of old. And you should know the difference between the two, because I know the difference between the two. When I'm being tempted because I'm growing spiritually and I'm separating myself from certain things, and from when I'm being tempted and I'm being tempted because I'm not reading my Bible like I'm supposed to. I'm feeding the flesh. I'm feeding this flesh more than I'm feeding the spirit. And I've come to understand that we feed the flesh with our eyes. We feed the flesh with the things that we hear. You know, those are ways that we feed the flesh without even knowing it. The things that we watch, the places we go, the communication that we have, all those things feed into the flesh. And so we got to be mindful that we're feeding our spirit more than the flesh, because if we're not, then we're setting ourselves up. I really hope you got something out of this. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you have anything to add on this, put it in the comments so that we can create a dialogue going. God bless.